Mary Marshall's. Can you send a car round right away? Thanks.
Now on BBC One, your letters come to the fore in Points of View with Anne Robinson.
Hello and good evening, and I thought tonight we'd forget about neighbours and the like and instead hear some comments on serious programmes.
Dear Anne, I very much enjoyed the performance of Madame Butterfly on BBC2.
Oh, good.
But I got the distinct impression the role of Lieutenant Pinkerton was being sung by Mike Gatting.
Please, Mrs. Nesbitt of Poole, we are trying to be serious this evening.
I wish to comment on this year's proms.
Yes, Keith Medley of Wallasey.
What on earth was Nigel Kennedy doing in his pyjamas and dressing gown?
This is not good enough. The Dowager Lady Crabtree in Brighton, could you bring some decorum to this programme, please?
No, I must ask the question. Is Viv Lumsden of BBC One's The Garden Party in training to become a ventriloquist?
What gives you that idea, Lady Crabtree?
Well, every lunchtime I find that my eyes are glued to her mouth. With a fixed smile on her face, she very rarely moves her lips, speaking continually through gritted teeth. Surely she must be a budding Keith Harris.
I don't think
And
that's
what really worries me is that if Eamon Holmes is her dummy, where does she put her?
Lady Crabtree, you know, some viewers get very upset if their favourite TV person is cruelly criticised.
I think it's terrible that people like that viewer Jennifer Lockley can comment on what anyone wears. It has nothing at all to do with her. Whatever Moira Stewart decides to wear, and maybe keep on wearing. I bet you wear disgusting clothes and jewellery yourself, Jennifer. Why can't people, whatever their occupation, wear what they like without being judged?
Thank you, Emma Lofts of Cambridge, one of dozens of the newly formed Moira Stewart Defence League. Here's another.
One wonders whether those who presume to criticise Moira Stewart's dress sense could equal her impeccable standards of diction. It might be interesting to hear one of them read the news.
Exactly, James Locke here. But for anyone who did write in about Moira's jewellery...
A miracle has happened. In the BBC newsroom, the 11th of August at exactly 9 a.m...
What?
Moira didn't wear her aluminium necklace.
Enough. I'm sorry about this, Moira, but I'm afraid you newsreaders are sitting ducks.
Dear Anne, it has infuriated me and my family so much, I just had to write to you about Martin Lewis.
You don't like his necklace, Mrs. Poole?
No, I want to know why Martin Lewis never includes his co-readers in the final good night. All the other newsreaders at the end say, from whoever and me, good night, but not Martin Lewis. Does he just like keeping the limelight to himself?
And Mrs. Poole adds...
If my letter can't be read out on Points of View, could you give it to Martin Lewis?
Oh, sure, Mrs. P. I'll just hang about tonight until 25 past, and then I'll say, Hi, Mart, here's a letter from a viewer who thinks you hogged the camera. I don't get danger money, you know. But while we have the attention of Mart and Phil and Michael and Nick...
Please tell them peace does not break out. It is restored.
Thank you, Corinne Loveland. Mr. Cookney, a tip from you.
Please tell them roads are not very slippy, because grammatically this is rather sloppery.
Any more while we're here?
I was very pleased to hear that the pronunciation of I-R-A-N-I-A-N had reverted to the normal and commonly accepted Iranian, rather than Iranian, which was used no less than 4 times in the 9 o'clock bulletin on Friday night.
But the news isn't all doom and gloom, is it, Mrs. Evans of Swinton?
No, the well-spoken gent expressing fulsomely his concern and dismay about the new Euro passport was an absolute gem.
Yes, one of life's natural charmers.
But for one man at least, the new passport is too high a price to pay.
I think it's one of the most revolting, insignificant, tiny-minded, small pieces of paper I've ever had the misfortune to witness. It's not really a British passport, is it?
And aren't you glad you're not married to him? Now, as we started with Moira, we'll finish with Moira. Remember the miracle of the 9 a.m. news on the 11th of August when she didn't wear that necklace? Well, the news bulletins went on being miraculous all day, didn't they, Sally Clements of Loughborough?
Yes, at 12 o'clock I saw a lady jog past Moira Stewart.
Go on, are you sure? And if you think that's amazing, wait till you hear what Gerald Biggins saw.
I write to draw your attention to the 9 p.m. news on the 11th of August. I spotted Rowley in a Rangoon street riot item.
Probably quieter than living with Pat at the Vic.
Dear Anne, my heart leapt with joy. My feet danced in ecstasy. My mouth gaped like a goldfish. No, I haven't seen Bob Monkhouse's boxer shorts. I've just watched the phenomenal, prodigious, stupendous Monocled Mutineer.
You and thousands of others, Sarah Lynn.
I feel I must write to congratulate the Beeb on a repeat. The Monocled Mutineer.
And
Them upstairs have done something right for once. The Monocled Mutineer is being shown again.
How could you say them upstairs are difficult? All their past sins are forgiven. They're repeating the monocle.
And so on and so on and so on. We could be here all night. We can't, as it's a shorter than usual programme, and we want to make room for Michael O'Connell of North London.
Dear Anne, I've just watched the second part of Boating Butler, BBC2, 4:25 p.m. I do hope Tony Butler makes the most of his trip. By the time he and his partner have finished, all the locks on the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal will be wrecked. First, the skipper crashed the boat into the gates. Then we had Butler trying to force the gates open before the lock was ready. And then he left the paddles open at the bottom, allowing the water to flow straight through the lock.
Which is, says Michael,
Probably the worst crime.
positively a hanging offence, but let's look at the evidence.
OK, you know what to do, Tony?
Yep. Just pull these open. I don't need this, do I?
Open the gates and let me in. Now you'll have to wait, Tony, until the water's run out of the lock before you can open the gates.
OK, now...
Once I'm in the lock, you have to shut the gates behind
Right,
me.
fine. You got to know what you're doing, haven't you? At what point do I open these, Ron?
We've got to get that paddle shut. The water's just running
OK.
straight through. By the time we've finished the place we're going, you'll know exactly how to do them.
Thanks.
The Frank Spencer of the waterways. Now, a few words on that royal birth from Mrs. Weston in St Albans.
I was absolutely livid to hear Godfrey Talbot say, this is not just Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you know. Let me tell him that a baby born to Mr. and Mrs. Smith is just as important to them.
Of course it is. What's airs and graces? Wouldn't you agree, Glenn Collins of Parkgate?
My pleasure was destroyed last Sunday during Airs and Graces when Lady Victoria Leatham drove through the gates of Burley House at the wheel of a Mercedes. Was there not a suitable British car available?
Well, here's someone British, through and through.
Just had to write and say how enjoyable the interview with Harold Dickey Bird was on Wogan. Could we have a longer interview next time? And how about when cricket matches are rained off? He would cheer everyone with his stories and experiences on the cricket field.
Indeed, Mrs. Money, because sometimes the cricket itself can get very repetitive, can't it, Annette Reid?
The BBC's coverage of the NatWest Bank Trophy semi-finals on Wednesday. What a terrible decision to have to make. Shall we watch it on BBC1 or BBC2? Surely even the World Championship couldn't justify 1:50 p.m. to 4:10 p.m. on one and 11:50 a.m. to 7:40 p.m. on two, with the rest of the evening's times messed up because one of the games overran.
And more double vision over the athletics.
I looked in the paper to see what was on television 17th of August. BBC1 Athletics, 7:40 till 9, and BBC2 Athletics, 9 till 9:30, and exactly the same on ITV.
Zoe Marquette asks, and who shall blame her?
Can't BBC and ITV come to some compromise?
Lots of men in charge, Zoe, and they're not very good at compromise, men.
What a load of claptrap from that female chauvinist cat who wrote and suggested that the reason you didn't get many letters from males was because they were too lazy, etc. What a typical, unreasonable Mrs. Know-all, twisted bird brain she is to suggest that men are not as intelligent as women.
Well, actually,
and a large, noisy raspberry to you for putting the blame on your producer for hinting that it was his suggestion you requested more letters from viewers. Honestly, even you are getting slightly
Mr.
twisted.
Howard,
Incidentally, I've noted of late your producers change almost every fourth week. So what do you do to the poor guys? Have you got a deep freeze off camera with ex-producers hanging there?
Thank you, Mr. Howard of Clayton.
I haven't finished yet.
Oh, yes, you have, because if we don't wrap up, Martin Lewis won't have time to say good evening, never mind good night. And anyway, I need to placate the thousands of Neighbours fans who want to hear that music from the episode where poor old Scott and Charlie looked as though they were going to be parted forever. The song is called Haunting Me. It was composed specially for Neighbours, and as yet it's not available to the public. But after a lot of pestering from points of view, Mushroom Records are going to release it as a single shortly. It's played by a group you'll never have heard of called V Capri. But never mind. Here it comes. Enjoy. Good night.